Welcome to Season 5, Episode 7 of the Family Travel Australia podcast. We are Paul, Katie and Jasper from the Feel Good family. Join us as we explore this great country, Australia, its people, places and cultures.
Yes, welcome to the Family Travel Podcast, where we share the latest in RV industry news, road trip travel, caravanning and camping, product reviews, where to go, what to do, and so much more. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, indeed. And this week we have an easy but spectacular road trip from Hobart to the Tasman Peninsula. We visit the World Heritage listed Port Arthur historic site, McHenry Distillery for a gin tasting and a cheese board.
Yum.
Port Arthur Lavender Farm, the Pickers Pantry and Pear Shed, the Tasmanian Chocolate Foundry, and our favourite adventure tour of all time. Plus, in the newsroom, the Caravan Super Show is back, baby.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a week.
Oh, look, this is one of our favourite regions in Tasmania, the spectacular Tasman Peninsula. If you want everything that you think Tasmania is going to be, and you've only got a minute down here on this beautiful island state, get yourself down south to the Tasman Peninsula. It will not disappoint.
It does. It has everything that you'd want Tasmania to give you on a trip here. All right, before we get into today's show, we wanted to give a shout out to Channel 31. It is a free-to-air network community television that is broadcast throughout Victoria. We have had a couple of seasons of our episodes airing there. It's on their prime time spot.
8 p.m. Thursday nights.
Amazing. It's a 1-hour show. We have just signed on for their third season. It's commencing the 27th of February. So if you're in Victoria, tune into Channel 31 on Thursday nights to get your feel-good
fix.
Yes, for the week. Alternatively, wherever you are around the world, check out channel31.com and you can find us on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can stream live online, which is just awesome.
All right, let's get into it. Port Arthur would have to be the number one attraction in Tasmania. It is this incredible historic site. It's set on 100 acres. It is so much more than just a prison.
Yeah, it is. And look, it's probably the reason why the majority of people head to the Tasman Peninsula to come and experience this incredible property. I mean, for starters, it is one of the 11 World Heritage listed sites that form up Australia's
Convict
sites, that's right. And as you said, Paul, it is so much more than just a prison. I had no idea what to expect. I had no image in my mind of what this experience was going to be like. And I was absolutely blown away by the grand scale of this property. It's set on over 100 acres. And it was more than just a penal colony. It was a complete village that many people, prisoners and well-to-do people, came and lived and settled. There is so much incredible history here.
What blew me away was the sheer size of the property, but the gardens are so beautifully manicured.
Oh, it is just immaculate. And to walk around and these buildings that have been incredibly restored and preserved, that have been here since the early 1800s, it is like, I don't know, it's a bit like the Mayans. How it almost felt like people were here and then all of a sudden, poof, they disappeared. And what was left is what is there today. And so when you're walking around the site, it's more than just a visual experience. There is a feel here at Port Arthur. You talk to anybody who has visited Port Arthur and they will tell you there is something special about this place. And we'll get into the ghost story side of it in a little bit. But there is definitely a feel here. It is a very special place.
Look, you're right. It is regarded as the most haunted property in Australia. I mean, during its 47 years as a penal colony, it had 12,500 convicts, the worst of the worst, come through the system here. Many even died here. There were over 2,000 residents living and working here. So as you said, a complete village, and it didn't start out as a penal colony. It actually started out as a timber getting camp, and then that was for about, I think, 7 years, and then it turned into a penal colony, and as many would even refer to it today, a slavery colony, really. There were convicts as young as 7 years old. As parents, we find that completely hard to comprehend, that there were children here, sent here really to, I guess, learn trades within the penal system and then come out and be able to help settle Australia and build Australia's colonies further.
These stories are incredible and fascinating and heart-wrenching, and there are so many of them, and this is what I loved about the experience at Port Arthur. Your entry ticket gives you 2 consecutive days, and you're going to want that because, well, 1, the property is huge and it's a massive day walking around, and 2, you really want to immerse yourself in these stories. And they do this so well. They tell the stories of the people and the convicts so well, not only through the buildings that you can access and the interpretive signage, but also through the tours that you can get yourself on. And your ticket includes an introductory tour, and then you can do some add-ons as well. And we chose to do the Escape from Port Arthur tour, which was really interesting. Again, a walking tour that really delved into some of those stories of the prisoners who certainly did attempt escape, the punishments that were handed out and what they dealt with. We also did the Isle of the Dead tour, which again was a really interesting insight into the lives of the people who lived and ultimately died here at this site. Really fascinating stuff. I'm covered in goosebumps just talking about it.
Look, the tours as an add-on to your ticket price, we feel is a must. You know, you've come all this way to experience Port Arthur. Choose a couple of them. The tour guides here are more than just staff. Yeah, I mean, they're generally so passionate about their workplace. They're historians. They're eager to hear stories of I guess, relatives of convicts. You know, we heard from Carl, who was our tour guide, that quite often he will meet people that have ancestors that came through this penal system, and then he's able to retell these stories, and so passionate about his workplace.
Yeah, and you can understand why when you really think about it. These were the first people out from England to settle this country. I mean, in some respect, all of us who have been born here in Australia stem somehow from that. And so we've all got these ties to this place. I was a little bit worried before we went that this could be quite a sombre experience, not really understanding what we were going to be met with, particularly having a young child with us. I was a little bit concerned about what this experience would be like as a family. Let me tell you, I was so wrong. It is a fantastic family experience, and Jasper loved every part of it. He loved exploring the grounds, the buildings, you know, the old ruins. There is so much space for kids to be able to run around and immerse themselves.
I think what they did really well is that as you're checking in and you're getting your tickets, each member of your tour party or your family is given a playing card, and across these series of 52 playing cards are stories that are specific for kids or for adults. So they tier it and the information really well, so that then you're going into the Port Arthur Gallery as your first port of call in the main building area, and you're looking for your card. And once you match it in this series, this massive wall of drawers, you pull it out and you can read a brief synopsis of the life and times, the punishment, the the reasons why transportation was issued to this person from England to come out here to Port Arthur. And that starts your journey of discovery and the storytelling. It is so incredibly clever the way they have done this, and that it was appropriate for kids as well. It made, I guess, a significant part of Australia's settlement, Australia's history, really digestible and tangible for younger ones.
Absolutely. And these are real life people. These are the stories of the people who were here.
You're so right.
Yes,
Amazing.
it is amazing.
Wow.
So alongside the tours that you can do as part of your ticket, you also enjoy a 20-minute boat ride out on the harbour. And this is an excellent opportunity to take in how breathtaking this natural environment is. Now, let me tell you, if you were a convict here back in the day, I am sure that you would not be using breathtaking as a word to describe this environment.
Life-taking.
Yes. But it really is. I mean, it is set amongst this incredible, naturally beautiful environment of the Tasman Peninsula. The harbour and the bay is spectacular. And so getting out on the water is a great opportunity to really get that different perspective and look back on the site.
Yes, look, there are plenty of food and beverage stops as you're going as well, because you are walking for a lot of the day. I mean, we walked around for almost 6 hours on our first day there. There are, however, a really special service called Wombats, which are about 8 to 10 seater buggies that the staff operate, and they drive around the property, and if you see them, you can wave them down if you're needing to give yourself a rest or you need a lift, or if you want to, you can also phone ahead and book these as well, which is a really great way to get around the property if you do need assistance.
Yeah, and what's fantastic, whilst the property is very large and there are lots of stairs and there's lots of hills to navigate if you are walking around, they do have very specific areas of the site that are wheelchair and mobility device friendly. So it is still accessible to all through that and the use of these awesome wombats.
Yes, on the food and beverage as well, they have I'd say a high-end restaurant. It's known as 1830, the year that Port Arthur was established. You can have breakfast, lunch or dinner here.
Our breakfast was amazing, wasn't it?
We would love to go back for dinner. We were trying to organise a bit of a sitter for Jasper so we can have an adult outing.
Yes.
Next visit, I think we will definitely do that. The service, the food, we got to meet the chef. You know, it's quite an intimate experience overlooking, again, this beautiful property. And I think that is the interesting contrast, is this dark history and this incredibly beautiful setting and location, and the buildings are stunning, and the church is stunning. It's an amazing property.
Yeah, it really is. So one for your must-do list when you are on the Tasman Peninsula, that is for sure.
We would also like to mention that in more recent times, the history and Port Arthur has been known around that incredibly devastating massacre that took place in 1996. 35 lives were taken, Australia's worst offence in our time. They have set up a memorial garden, a beautiful pond, a place for contemplation, reflection. It is an incredibly peaceful place, and it is so beautifully presented, just so appropriate. There's no other words that could make this rider okay, but to actually have put this thoughtful place and done it so well, we thought was beautiful. We did sit there and we did take time out and just take a moment and reflect. I think it's definitely worth including that on your visit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Paul.
Okay, let's move on. We're going to leave you at Port Arthur. Oh gosh, only a few kilometres down the road. I want to talk about where we actually camped, because this was sensational. It is actually part of the World Heritage listed area. It is the Nrma Port Arthur Holiday Park. What an awesome campsite.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, it's the best base. If you are coming down to the Tasman Peninsula, go here, set up camp, immerse yourself again in this beautiful natural environment, and then get out and explore the best of the Tasman Peninsula. And that's exactly what we did. It is an NRMA Parks and Resort park. It is fantastic because of how it has been integrated into the natural environment.
Perfect.
You are literally camping in the midst of some of Australia's most beautiful bush and forest, again on the shores of these incredible bays down here in the Tasman Peninsula. What I love with the caravan sites is that they are all tiered. So you have so much space, and you definitely don't feel that you are camping on top of your neighbour. They all come complete with their own fire pot as well. And thankfully, when we were visiting, we were not in a fire restriction as we currently are here in Tassie. So we were able to enjoy a campfire every night in this beautiful bushland setting. It is abundant with wildlife. I mean,
wow.
Abundant. And you will know that when you wake up the next morning and you see all of the little signs of the wildlife
Leftovers.
that have been out foraging across the night. But the bird life was incredible as well, and it is super peaceful and super quiet. What they do here so well is blend the modern amenities and facilities that you would expect when you're staying at a caravan park like this into an environment that makes you feel like you are still free camping or camping in the bush and not in a caravan park. So they do that balance really well.
And there are options on your accommodation here if you're not travelling in your RV. There are these very good looking safari tents.
Yes.
There are other dormitory sort of style bunkhouses. The recreation facilities are fantastic. There's a pump track for the kids for their bikes and scooters. Another separate playground area. There's open air camp kitchens. Really fantastic. There is even a massive pizza oven.
Yes, and the multitude of barbecue, outdoor, indoor barbecue areas where you can get together with family and friends.
Just done so well. The convenience store is very convenient because it actually conveniently has everything that you'd expect to find yourself that you've forgotten. So, including alcohol as well. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Everything you need, marshmallows for the fire pit, firewood, fantastic site. We decided to stay here for the whole week so that we could actually use that as our base.
Yeah, and it is an excellent base. You can even walk, if you wanted to, from the NRMA over to the historic site. It's about a 45-minute walk, depending on how fast or slow you go. But there are a number of shorter walks that you can do from the NRMA as well to get you into this beautiful environment.
The walk we would recommend is to Stewart's Bay.
Oh, stunning.
That beach there, it's a 5-minute walk through beautiful forestry. Just stunning. You'd think you're in like North Queensland without the palm trees though, okay? But it is just this incredible, beautiful turquoise blue water and white sandy beach.
That is the Tasman Peninsula all over. It is full of surprises. And I think that's why we love it so much, because it's full of things that you're not expecting to be there.
I think that this is the calm before the storm for the Tasman Peninsula. I mean, Port Arthur is the number one destination as far as a tourism attraction, but then I think people leave the island. What's happening is there's a real trend here. You know, I mean, the foodie scene is emerging. We found was fantastic. And there are more gin distilleries that you can visit in a week.
Yeah, that is true. Well, there you go. You've heard it first here, people. Paul's prediction.
It is. It is going to be the place in Tassie, I think. Okay, let's talk about some of that food and beverage. McHenry family gin distillery, not only gin, but we went there for their gin. What a great experience this was. Just beautifully, again, set in the Tasmanian wilderness.
Oh, it is. I mean, the location is superb. Again, it's in Port Arthur, so a very easy, short drive from the Nrma. We actually got tipped off about this place by a local, and there are a number, as you said, Paul, of gin distilleries on the peninsula. We were told to go here. We did a little bit of research on it. Their family story is fantastic, and if you can't visit, at least get onto their website and read their information and their family story, because it will certainly put a smile on your face. What I love is that they are utilising what abounds on their property within the natural environment to create their gin. They have natural springs, obviously, and that is an integral part of making gin. So I have learnt since I've been in Tassie, you need the purest water. And of course you need amazing botanicals to be able to add to the gin for those flavours, and they have an abundance of this as well. And it is a family business. Their cellar door is open every single day. You can even go and do a tour with them. They operate tours daily to get a bit more of an insight into their operations. If you are a gin fanatic, then you definitely keep an eye out on their website, because throughout the year they offer gin distiller courses as well, where you can go and get hands-on. We opted for the easy path. We rocked up to the cellar door, ordered a tasting paddle and a cheese plate, of course, and enjoyed that. It was awesome.
It is the perfect pair, I have to say.
Yes.
It is fantastic because they have these bifold windows that completely open out onto the property, and you can look up the mountain and sit there. Jasper stuck him on the iPad. Good parenting there. And we did. We really enjoyed a nice half an hour experience sitting there sampling 3 you get to choose of about 15 different gins. Something else that I found really interesting is that they're the only gin distillery in Australia to be commissioned by Parliament House.
Yes, how cool is that?
To create a Federation gin. Now, you can purchase a version of this in-store and at different chains throughout Australia, and I believe overseas as well. But they do have one specific Federation gin labelled up that you can only purchase in Canberra at Australia's Parliament House. What is so clever about what this family created is that they chose a botanical from every state and territory, put it in with their gin to make this Federation gin.
It is very cool, a very cool story, and a beautiful environment. We actually sat at those bifold windows and looked out, as you said, Paul, over the mountain and watched this incredible rain storm roll in and the clouds coming in over the top of the mountain while we were sipping our gin and tasting our cheese plate. Oh, look, I have to really quickly mention too, and we need to feature this in an upcoming YouTube episode. They sell the most amazing condiment, I think you would call it, to go with your cheese plate, and that is their slow paste. Now, it's not slow because it's tired and weary and been working hard. It's SLOE. It's from a berry that is found naturally around the Tasman Peninsula. It is amazing. So do yourself a favour and pick up a jar of slow paste. I don't think I'll ever buy quince paste again. It is so good.
Another thing, just quickly, is that they do operate Airbnb, so you can check that out on their website, which means you could just walk or stagger.
Yeah. Stay and play.
Up the hill. I think it's called the Eagle's Nest. Anyway, it looks really beautiful online.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job there, so definitely stop in for an afternoon at the cellar door. Okay,
a couple of other highlights we're going to mention. The Lavender Farm for lunch.
Yes, this is a great option, the Port Arthur Lavender Farm. Again, easy, 10 minutes up the road from the Nrma. I mean, you can't beat that. Set on beautiful grounds that overlook the bay, of course. They have a great lake, beautiful lavender fields that you can meander and wander through. Paul picked up some spectacular footage of the huge fuzzy bottom bumblebees. I don't think that's their actual scientific name.
Fuzzy bottoms.
Fuzzy bottoms.
Very good.
pollinating the lavender. So beautiful. We haven't mentioned it, but do yourself a favour, get on over to our Feel Good Family YouTube channel and check out this week's episode from the Tasman Peninsula so that you can see all of this spectacular footage. The Lavender Farm is great though. They've got an excellent restaurant on site. They serve up very large, very delicious meals, again, using the local seasonal produce, and we love this so much about Tasmania. So go and have a meal and then meander through the lavender fields, take in their very impressive showroom that features all of the lavender products that they make. Amazing things too. Everything from, what you would think, soaps and skincare, to more interesting things like chocolates and gin. There's even a bright purple lavender gin. And then next door they have the distillery, and you can go in and witness the distillery and learn about how they actually go through the distilling process with the lavender flowers to create this beautiful oil. Amazing.
Fantastic. And the food was massive.
It
Again,
was.
showcasing the fresh seafood of Tassie. We really enjoyed that.
Yeah, great spot for lunch.
All right, we're going to take you over to a place that's around about 15 minutes drive on the other side of the island to Nrma. In the local Aboriginal language group, it actually means crayfish. So if you love live crayfish, this is the place to go. There is a gentleman that does sell live crayfish seasonally, and if you ask any local, they will point you in the right direction. In fact, it's located 500 metres past the Pear Shed and Pickers Pantry.
Say that again quickly,
Pickers
3 times.
Pear Pickers Pantry and Pear Shed. Yes.
This is, again, another great example of what Tassie does best with its fresh produce. And there are a few different things on the site here. The Pear Shed Gallery showcases local artists and products that have been made locally, and it was built by the community for the community, and it is fantastic to go in and browse and look at some of these really beautiful products. Then next door is the recently opened Pickers Pantry Orchard Cafe, and this is a great little cafe that is in amongst the pear orchard.
So cool.
It is really cool. So you can go order up a coffee or a tea. You can grab yourself a delicious treat. They have fresh pastries. They bake fresh sourdough every day, and then sit out and amongst the pear orchards. There was so much space for the kids to run around. They also had some ride-on tractors and toys for the kids. Jasper absolutely loved it. And then on your way out, they have fresh produce fridges, so you can pick yourself up some fresh produce. We grabbed some veggies, some apples, there's pears, of course. Pop your money in the donation box. Just perfect. A great example of how Tassie does fresh produce so well.
And again, set on the water, looking out across to Nrma. It really is just everywhere you look here.
Yeah.
On the Tasman Peninsula is a postcard.
Yeah, it is so beautiful.
Okay, now we're off to the Tasmanian Chocolate Foundry. Yummo, this place makes you feel like you deserve chocolate.
Oh,
they do it so well.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And you can't drive past this. I mean, the building is epic. There's no missing it. And you can't drive past chocolate anyway. What I love about this is that it's hand-forged chocolate, and you can actually go into the store, which is so beautifully presented, and look through their big glass windows into their, I like to call it their creation room, their factory floor, and actually watch them hand-forging all of the different chocolate that they make here. You can't leave without buying something. I mean, I dare you to. It's just not possible. It looks so beautiful. We picked up a few different chocolate samples to bring home. They didn't last very long. It's very good chocolate indeed. But again, a really great display of what Tasmania does so well, and that handmade thing that Tasmanians bring to their products.
Perfect. Now, we will also mention the coal mines. If you didn't get enough of your history at Port Arthur Historic Site, do visit the coal mines. A little less known, again, some friends that actually have a shack, as they like to have down here in Tasmania, a little bit of a holiday or getaway house on the Tasman Peninsula. They told us about this coal mines. It is a free access environment. Again, another World Heritage listed property, part of the 11 convict sites here in Australia. It is so well worth a visit. It is just such a stunning location, again, with this incredibly rich history. You can take your time and walk through the ruins, amazingly presented, just a wow site. So include that. As far as natural environment, it is abundant. We would recommend that you definitely include remarkable caves, devil's kitchens, the blowhole, and finally, something that is very rare across the world. In fact, there's only a couple of places on Earth that have this natural formation, and it is the tessellated pavement.
This is so stunning. If you are a nature lover or a photographer, definitely pop down here. What I love is that it is so easy to access. It's literally a few-minute walk from the car park where you pull up near Eagle Hawk Neck, and you can walk down, taking caution and care, of course, because it is a wet environment. It is right on the edge of the coastline. The waves do come lapping up over the tessellated pavement.
Yeah.
But you can literally walk down on it too, which I thought was amazing. Like, this is a rare geological phenomenon, and I'm allowed to come down and walk all over it. It is so cool. The drone footage really shows off the formation
and the scale of it.
Yes.
It looks like man has intervened with this, and it is a natural occurrence.
Yeah, absolutely. That is why it is called a tessellated pavement, because it looks like it literally is tiles that somebody has laid down, in one of those Roman Empire buildings, and it has been formed by the earth naturally over a ridiculous amount of millions of years, and that constant erosion from the salt water keeps those perfectly formed tessellations from disappearing, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it is well worth a visit. And again, just another awesome display of how incredible nature is down here in Tassie, particularly on the Tasman Peninsula. Have we told you that we love this place?
Katie wants to move here, I think. One day. 6 months Tasman Peninsula, 6 months in Palm Cove in Cairns, something like that.
Yeah, we should talk about this.
Okay. Finally, we are going to finish up our experience over on the Tasman Peninsula with our rated #1 adventure tour on the road to date. We have aired this particular tour experience in our top 5 experiences across our first 2 years on our Feel Good Family YouTube channel, and it is again in this week's episode. It is the Pentecost Journeys Tasman Island Cruise. It's a half-day experience. It absolutely has it all. It is incredible, this tour.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can only do one tour while you are in Tasmania, seek out, I would say, any of the Pentecost tours. We've been fortunate enough to do a couple now, and the Wineglass Bay tour is coming up in our next episode. But this Tasman Island cruise, again, because of the environment, it still is our #1 adventure wildlife cruise of all time. I mean, what makes the Tasman Peninsula so special is this epic coastline, the tallest sea cliffs in the southern hemisphere, and you are on this incredibly powerful open air boat zooming through the ocean. I mean, the next thing from the edge of the peninsula is, you're headed down to Antarctica. So you're out in the wild, the wilderness, and you're looking up at these incredible cliffs. You're going into sea caves. You're going through massive gulches and around rock formations. You're witnessing albatross and so many different species of birds. We saw Australian fur seals, dolphins. You know, if you were here in whale season, that would be incredible. It is a mix of adrenaline and nature and wildlife. And again, if you're a photographer, oh my goodness, you just won't cope on this cruise. The staff are a standout. The ethos and the values of what Pentecost Journeys bring to an experience and how they showcase Tasmania to visitors, it's easy to understand why they are one of the number one tour operators here in Tasmania. If you are looking for an eco tour that will stand out and be your number one, do one of their tours. It is fantastic.
It is thrilling.
Yes.
I've been trying to think of a word that sums up this experience. At times your heart is racing.
And look, again, Jasper was 3 when we did this tour on our first visit to Tasmania. And so I was a little bit like, oh, how are we going to go with a 3-year-old? He loved it more than we did. He was fist pumping and woohooing as the boat was speeding through places that I didn't think the boat was even going to fit. When we spoke to the staff who took us out that day, they said to us, look, we've had every age of person on this tour. We've had somebody who was 99 years old on this tour.
Awesome.
And we've had babies that aren't even 1 year old on this tour. So it is, again, for everybody, and just gives you that experience of what makes Tasmania so unique.
There's one point where it's also incredibly calm. They stop in front of this towering, I think it's called the Candlestick from memory.
It is, yeah.
And like you say, you know, the tallest sea cliffs in the southern hemisphere. You just like, this is breathtaking. This is amazing.
Yeah, really spectacular. So do put Pentecost Journeys on your list when you're coming to Tassie. They've got quite a few different cruises in different parts of Tasmania, and they are also operating a cruise now out of Wilson's Promontory in Victoria.
Yes.
If you're over on the mainland and want a taste of what they offer.
All right, let's wrap up our experiences there. Our takeaway for this week, when we looked at the whole Tasman Peninsula, would have to be to take your time, stop, breathe in this incredible environment and reflect.
And I think that's really good advice for life in general. Even, you know, us being on the road in what can often be perceived as, you know, one big fantastic holiday. We find ourselves on the go, busy working, you know, doing all of the things that we do to get our content out there. It's very easy to get caught up in that daily routine. So being able to stop and take a breath and reflect. And I think that's something that the feeling of the Port Arthur Historic Site really gave to both of us while we were there. Life is precious. It goes way too quick.
Yeah.
Don't miss it being so busy trying to live it.
Perfect. Count your blessings. All right, let's get on to the newsroom. Caravanning and camping expos are back, baby. Look, particularly on the East Coast, there's been ones that have been popping up, ones that have been trying to go through this pandemic and have closed or limited numbers and all sorts of dramas. It is quite amazing. There are a dozen caravanning and camping and touring expos that are coming through this calendar year. Victoria has a huge one that is coming up, and that is the 6th to the 10th of April. Looks pretty awesome. Our home state, Queensland, we normally speak at the Gold Coast Metricon Expo. We're going to miss it this year because we're here in Tassie.
Yeah, we are.
The dates there are March 4 to 6.
Yes, and then the super show. I can't do that like you can.
Super
show. There you go. In Brisbane, which is in June. Again, early in June.
Yes, it's the 7th to the 12th. It's actually one of the longest running shows as far as duration. They normally run it across the 5 or 6 days, so there's plenty of opportunity for you to get there. Particularly, you can choose a time, what we loved, when it's not busy, when there's not 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
You know, so that you can actually ask the questions, see all the different providers, whether you're looking for a tent or a truck or anything, all your accessories. There's like 130 exhibitors. It is epic. It's outdoors. We'd love the Brisbane one as well.
Yeah, it's just an exciting environment. I love going and just being in that environment and the buzz and seeing new products and, checking out different rigs and just looking at stuff and getting excited. Whether you are already on the road, thinking about getting on the road, dreaming about maybe one day, or you just have this little, maybe we should just go and have a look and see. I don't know if this is for us. Go to a show, wherever you are, wherever there's a show, go and just be in that environment because it is exciting.
Yes, whether you're green or grey nomads or any shade in between.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, and did you mention or say that we will be speaking?
Yeah, we're
Guest
definitely
speakers,
planning on getting ourselves to that June show in Brisbane, back in our home state. So back in the warmth for winter.
Looking forward to that. All right, next week we will be commencing our East Coast Adventure Part 1. This will be over the next 2 weeks. As you said, uncharted area for the feel-good families to explore.
Yes, first time headed up the East Coast. So many things on our list to do, which is why we are going to split the East Coast over 2 episodes so that we can bring you all of that goodness. I am super excited about this.
Yes, look, it's going to include Maria Island, Freycinet National Park, friendly beaches, oh my gosh.
Coles Bay.
The best oysters in Australia.
Okay.
Big call.
Woohoo.
All right, for now, we will leave it there. Dream big, look after yourself, look after your family.
And happy trails.
Feel the journey, feel the love, feel good family.
Whew, another massive episode.
It is, and there were things that we left out of sharing. I mean, the fish and chips.
Yes, at Dunalley.
Amazing.
So much goodness. Do go and check out our YouTube episode on our Feel Good Family channel to really get that beautiful overview of the Tasman Peninsula. Gee, I can't wait for the East Coast.
Oh, wow. So fantastic. All right. Look after yourself. We'll see you next week. Bye guys.